Boom boom, how's it going? And today we are going to be solving a big problem. That problem is generating income whilst you are waiting for rezoning. This has happened not so long ago. Someone asked me the question, TJ, I've just bought a piece of land, and on this piece of land I now need to rezone it. And for some of you, you don't know what rezoning is all about. I am going to be talking about it now. But whilst I am rezoning, because rezoning takes anything from 3 months, they said, to anything from 12 months. And I was like, In the end, whilst I am in this period, basically this is a year of a period, what can I do to generate some income? My name is TJ and welcome to Ask TJ. On this here, we're always talking about how best I can help business people and property investors with their issues. So in today's topic, like I did say here, we are solving a problem. They are rezoning, and whilst they are rezoning, how best can they generate some income? So this is a good thinking, I should say, because this person here has bought an investment. Actually, they go on to talk about they want to build a block of flats. So which basically means that they are wanting to rezone potentially from an agriculture. They didn't tell me what the property is today, but potentially from an agriculture to something that is going to be called Zone 4. Zone 4 is kind of like it is the pinnacle of zoning when it comes to a high-rise building. You see me going like this. It's like I'm trying to define a high-rise building. So blocks of flats, for some of you that don't know what blocks of flats, it's basically units under one roof. So you can have maybe a mixture of 2 beds, 1 beds, or maybe 3 beds. But the bottom line is that all of it is in one building. So this person, that's what they want to do. But we all know, or should I say for some of us who have gone through this process of rezoning, we actually know that it can take a bit of time. In her email, she says to me here, TJ, this may take 3 months to 12 months. Let's educate ourselves. But before I jump on to talk about the time frames, maybe let me talk about what is rezoning, right? Before we go on to solve the problem, what is rezoning? Rezoning is basically the land use, or what you are allowed to do on a particular piece of land. So for some of you, you are staying on a property right now, and you actually don't know what it's used for. Well, you can double check that. And how best you check that is that on your municipality bill, when it comes through, it generally tells you right on top what the zoning is. Or you can go to your nearest council and you can ask what that zoning is all about. And they will give you a little bit of a paper. And on that paper, it will say your zone 1 or 2, whatever it is. And then it will jump on to illustrate what you are allowed to use the land for. So it might say doctor's room, it might say industrial, and all of those things. So by you rezoning, you're changing the land use that you found that property into something else, into a 2, a 3, a 4, a 5, right? Into a business 1, 2, 3, 4, and all of those things. Now, why would you want to rezone? Obviously, for you to get the rights for what you are wanting to do. In this case, this person here, basically, they are changing it. We're just going to assume here this is agriculture. From agriculture to a block of flats, so they are changing that. Now, for you to change that, you need a person that is called a town planner. And a town planner is someone who is, obviously they need to be a qualified town planner, and they will take in all of your paperwork, motivate why you should be changing it from agriculture to 4. In this case, this person here is going for 4 because they are wanting to do a block of flats. If you are doing complexes and so on, I think they start roundabout from zone 2, 3, 4, depending on how they are going to be structured. But we're just going to make an assumption that this person is on zone 4. Now, how long does it normally take? So we've spoken about the process, right? And who can help you. The person who can help you is a town planner, but how long is it going to take? From council to council, this differs. I almost want to say because of competence, but no, it's not that. But it also is about that. But what's very important here is that because there's so many departments that you need to go in, it's important to write the right competent town planner, because it's a combination of who your town planner is versus also the person on the other side who is going to be working in the council to take through your paperwork. Once that is done, the submission is kind of like, taking in something and then you pass it on. So you submit. And when you submit it, obviously you're given a number, hey, that your town planner gets that number, and they start to track where the paperwork is, and there's an individual that they need to speak to. Now, it will move from department to department to department up until it is approved. And then you can now start to do your building. But before I speak about the building aspect of it, let me talk about how long does it take. Does rezoning take 3 months? Because she said, I'm going to use the term she, right? It doesn't mean it's I actually don't know whether they are she or male. I don't know. It doesn't matter. But the property investor that we're talking to in here, the business person, is basically now assuming that it's taking 3 months to 12 months. I am worried about that because it doesn't look like they've already gone to engage a town planner. Because if they had engaged a town planner, there is no way that you're going to get rezoning in 3 months. I've never seen it. The quickest that I have seen is around about 8 months. And that was fast. The longest I have seen on a rezoning is 5 years. Yes, complicated one. But at average, depending on the council, plus minus a year, right? Peg or plan around a year. That's how long, that's what it takes. Remember, we're trying to answer the question of what can you do whilst, what can you do to generate income whilst you're waiting for the rezoning? But for some of us, we don't know what rezoning is all about. So I'm taking you that whole process. Can you start building? Because this person here, they've submitted. So the question is, they are waiting, right? So can they start building? Does the council allow you to build? The answer is yes. For some council, the council will give you an indication to start building before it's been approved. However, double check with which council you're working with, because not all municipalities allow you to start. There's some, they want you to get the approval, and some they would indicate to you that you can start, right? Whilst obviously it's in the process. So which then gives us the ability to say, you don't have to now look for something to generate, because now once you've submitted, they will allow you to do that. But let's double check within our local council which one in particular is going to allow you to do that. Now, let's assume the answer is no. And I assume that this lady here, this is where she is, because she's asking the question, what can I do? I'm going to give you around about 5 things that you can do on a property to generate some income whilst one is waiting for their rezoning. So because the rezoning you can get objections whilst you are submitting. You can get objections, or someone else could come in and, the process, what I'm basically trying to say is the process can take a little bit longer than what is anticipated. So what can you do? I've been faced with this problem 3 times. In my life of investment, I've been faced with this problem, and that's how I get to be able to answer this question. Now, what are the alternatives? The alternatives is that one needs to look into the zoning of that actual property before you are changing it to the next, right? So let's say it is agriculture. But in that area for agriculture, what is it that you can do, right? So normally when you get your certificate, your paper of certificate for zoning, to be showing like that, and it will basically now be able to tell you alternatives. So it will say maybe you can do a garage, maybe you can do, so they gives you alternatives. That, for me, that's my first point of contact, to say, because you don't need any other compliance for you to do that. So you can literally just go, maybe let me see if I can do this. But I want to give you, maybe some of those things don't really tick your fancy. So this is what it's all about. It's about learning, right? And by the way, guys, if this information is making sense, in the comments, let me know. If you have any questions coming out of this video, again, ask the questions. And this is what it's all about. Ask TJ. I will give you the answers. If I don't, I'll go and find someone else who does. But let's jump on to talk about the alternatives. I'm going to give you 5 practical ones now that this person can be able to do. And maybe you are in that position. If you are in that position as well, let me know in the comments. The first one that I can say is find something that you want to do that you need to ask for consent, not rezoning, consent. Because consent generally takes a little bit of a shorter time than zoning. So zoning is like a year, consent is kind of like half a year, right? Or even less, 3 months, somewhere there, 3 months to 6 months. So you can ask for consent. And with asking of a consent, it doesn't cost a lot of money as well. So whatever that you're going to be doing, but that wasn't my point number one. My point number one is now you can do maybe farming. Yep, that's kind of like an obvious one, right? People need food. So maybe do some farming. If you personally can't do farming, no problem. Not all of us are great farmers. You all know that I lost some money in farming, isn't it? Chickens, yeah. So not all of us are good. Nando's is still running, chicken licking, all of these other chicken wara, and we're still having chicken at home. So it basically means that someone else is doing it great. Back to my farming. Maybe rent the space to someone else who is going to do farming. Yeah. So rent the space to someone else who's going to be doing farming. So that's my number one. My number two is that maybe convert it into a parking area, right? Parking area. So I've seen quite a lot of people that go out and they need parking. So if the area allows you, then that's great. So find some parking. The other one is that I've always seen this in high traffic areas. Just put a wall around it and invite some other companies that do advertising on your wall, or even the big bang, not the wall, but above the wall, kind of like they might put in some banners and things like that. So number one, I said farming. Second is parking. Third is advertising. The fourth one is maybe setting up some cell phone towers, right? So the internet, or should I say cell phone coverage, is not great everywhere. It's because all of these other companies are looking where they can plug in their towers. So approach some of these companies. Maybe there might be an area gap and your property can actually have a cell phone tower and they could pay you. And it can be a combination of parking, cell phone, advertising, all in one, without doing anything on your property whilst you're waiting for the rezoning to happen. Yeah, makes sense? The fifth one is recreation. For me, recreation is quite cool because you can go wild with that, right? I have seen people that have turned a normal land into a kids area. I have seen people that have turned it into a water something, right? But bearing in mind, the more it becomes very commercial, now that consent thing needs to kick in, right? Or maybe it can be a golf, what do they call this? I think they call them drive-through. You can see I'm not a golf person, is it? A drive-through golf. You can literally turn it into like that. I considered that at one point, but I never actually went on to do it. But those are my 5. The 6th one that I'm going to give you, which is a bonus, is consider storage. Consider storage. There are some people out there, they are stuck with their stuff, and you can literally just rent out your space to someone who's looking for storage, and they can come in with the security, everything. But the bottom line is that you have options, right? Hey, you've been watching Ask TJ, and whatever it is, I can help you. That is in particularly in business. And for business people out there, property investors with a particular issue, and you are wanting that to be answered at Ask TJ, in the comments below, you can drop that comment, and I'll be able to answer that. And who knows, It might be on the next video actually. But I will see you again on the next video. Thank you very much for watching.